Welcome back to this special edition of the News 12 Connecticut Education Notebook. I'm Amelie Wilson. We are hearing a lot more about bullying these days, which has been linked to violence, depression, even suicide. So how can kids protect themselves? Steve DeMasco is a martial arts instructor who travels the country teaching kids to respect and love each other. He is here to join us today. Tell us a little bit about your studios and really just about your life. Thanks so much for coming, Steve.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, really.
So how did you get started with martial arts?
I grew up in the projects, and I was born in New York City, grew up in Spanish Harlem, New York, in the projects. I was a welfare kid. And from the third grade, I moved into Massachusetts and grew up in Brockton. So when I got into high school, I started boxing. I used to fight at the Rocky Marciano gym in Brockton, Mass. And it was either, when I graduated high school, it was either I became a pro boxer or go to college. And I went to college. I chose to go to school. And I started martial arts in college. I never knew much about it. It was just something to supplement my workouts, and I became fanatical.
And have you found, though, that being so physical kind of gave you an edge? Did you feel like you needed to be able to defend yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I was one of those kids. You know, I'm a 10th degree black belt now, so when I get in front of these kids and my schools and audiences, they say, I'm the Grandmaster, and for me to say to them, I used to get picked on. I was bullied. I got beat up in school a lot. Yeah. It's like they just can't fathom that image. Yeah, I was. You grew up in the projects. I was the skinny kid that got picked on all the time, and then I came to Brockton, Massachusetts, and I got picked on there. We grew up. When you're a project kid and you go to school with kids that look beautiful like you, it's like, really. I mean, it's you're the target, and I was a target.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
All right, so you started boxing, then you got into the martial arts.
Yeah.
You kind of, got bitten by the bug and you couldn't stop. And now you go around and you talk to other kids about it. First of all, is there anything parents can do if you see your kid getting bullied?
Here's the problem. As you know, I was the spokesperson for President Clinton for 6 years on school violence, which all had to do with bullying. I lectured in 100 schools throughout the United States on this subject. And I've been trying to tell people this for years of what they need to do. It's not so much the parents. 300,000 kids, as we're speaking today, are home. 300,000 are not going to go to school today because of this situation. 90% of those kids will not tell their parents why they're staying home. They actually can physically get sick because they don't want to be victims anymore. Until the schools, and I'm not blaming the schools, but until they treat this as a life-threatening problem, that's the way they have to treat it. Until they adopt a policy where they train teachers to deal with this, they have trained kids to be able to report this, that they have a zero tolerance policy for bullying. Zero. I mean, where kids can get expelled. And they treat it as a life-threatening problem. Until that happens, this situation is going to continue to grow. When you have 87% of the parents, both parents working in the household, okay, and these kids are coming home to empty houses because of it's just the fact of life today. These kids have no support unit, so it's become a national issue, and it's been escalating for the past 10 years.
Yeah, and we are hearing more and more. Even this week, New Jersey's working on a law now, anti-bullying, that should be in the classroom, like it's almost a course. But do you feel like they're doing enough?
No, I don't think they're doing enough. I think that they're trying, but I mean, you can't begin to believe the number of calls that I get on this. And can you become part of that committee? You could be a part of this committee. Can you? I don't want to be a part of any committee. In our schools, in the Shaolin Studios, in our schools, we have an anti-bullying program, and we give kids and teach them to have the confidence in order to tell their parents what's going on in those schools, and that if they see this, to tell the teachers, to tell the parents, and that we, as martial arts instructors, we will follow up with the schools, because a lot of times, just like that girl that committed suicide, that kind of started this whole thing going, that they had reported it to the school, and the school did nothing. Okay, so we won't let that happen. That's the difference in what we do. We train the kids to have confidence. We train them not to defend themselves. They're most likely not going to be able to beat the bully.
We do want to stress that, though. You're not teaching kids
No, you
to
can't.
beat.
What are we going to do? We're going to teach a kid. Right. Somebody looks at you or looks at me, as I was the skinny kid, and they look at me, they're going to size me up and say, you know what, I can overpower them. It takes a long time to be good as a martial artist. There's no 30-day wonders. So they're going to overpower them, and they're going to, so we're going to teach a kid to beat that kid up?
No.
You know, we're going to teach them to try to defend themselves if the kid's putting their hands on them. But you know what? We got to teach these kids that they have to report what's going on, and we will go into those schools ourselves. Our instructors will go in, and we will help them with this problem.
And we'll be back with more of you, Steve, in a moment. We're going to learn some moves all about Kung Fu and self-defense when we return here on the Education Notebook.